What is going on, guys? Gavin here, and today I want to go over my Scareclaw deck profile for the post-Photon Hypernova format. I think this deck is in a very solid position to be a good rogue deck in the upcoming format, simply because it has a very simple yet effective game plan and a small enough engine to play quite a large number of tech choices in the main deck to be able to adapt to whatever meta you might find yourself in. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the card by card explanations. Okay, to start, for the main deck, we are playing a single copy of the Visa Starfrost. Our main extender for the deck, basically, he allows you to pop one monster you control to special summon himself onto the field. That doesn't seem like you're going plus at first, but he does have some nice synergies with the rest of the archetype, as well as being a level 6 tuner allows you access through 4 Baronne de Fleur lines. Then for the level 4 and lower Scareclaw monsters, I might as well get this out of the way now. They all have a built-in summoning condition where if you control a Scareclaw monster, you can summon these monsters to either the zone that is adjacent or underneath those monsters. So they are in the main monster zone, you can special summon these guys to the right or left of that monster, and if you have a Scareclaw in the extra monster zone, you can special summon beneath that monster. So really easy to swarm the field once you get a Scareclaw monster to the deck. So Scareclaw Reichhardt's effect on normal or special summon allows you to search for a Scareclaw spell or trap, and we got some really good ones. We'll get to those in a little bit. But also on the time of resolution of this card's effect, if you have if there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can draw a card. So you can go very plus with this card, and you definitely want to be resolving it as often as you possibly can and getting maximum value out of it. Then for the level 3 Earth Scareclaw monsters, they all essentially have a passive buff that they give to the Scareclaw monster in the extra monster zone. So Scareclaw Astra allows it to attack up to the number of times of different named defense position Scareclaw monsters that you control. Then Scareclaw Balone gives piercing, and Scareclaw Aggro gives it 300 attack for each defense position monster you control. So arguably, I'd say Aggro gives the worst of those 3 buffs. So that's why I'm only playing 2 of it. I wanted to keep the deck size around 40. I didn't feel like it was super necessary to play more of this guy. Then we play triple copies of Kashtira Fenrir, which is going to be so much better in the deck once Scareclaw Kashtira comes out, because this card essentially has 3 roles for the deck. 1, it gets you an additional defense position body. 2, it gets you a search for either another copy of himself or the Scareclaw Kashtira. And 3, he allows you to banish a monster when your opponent activates effect or when he attacks. So just this card does so much, and honestly, I'm really excited for it once Scareclaw Kashtira comes out. Speaking of Scareclaw Kashtira, this card is phenomenal. Basically, we got another extender for the deck. This deck did have some issues playing going second if one of your Scareclaw monsters either got bounced or destroyed. You know, like I said, it's not... You need a Scareclaw monster on the field to be able to swarm the field with the rest of your Scareclaws, and this card can help fix that problem because during the main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then if you do, you can banish one Kashtira or Scareclaw monster from your hand or graveyard. It's really, really cool. And then also, this card can attack in defense position, and then the monster that it attacks actually gets its effect negated for the rest of the turn, so it's actually a decent board breaker as well. Then we play triple copies of Parallel Exceed. This card is essentially here for additional link fodder or to allow us to go into one of our powerful rank 4s. Then we play 2 copies of Primitive Planet Reichophobia. This card on activation searches you a Scareclaw monster or a Visa Starfrost. It also has 2 additional effects, one being that your opponent's monsters lose 100 attack and defense for each defense position monster on the field, and if there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can pop 1 card your opponent controls. So super solid field spell. Then we play triple copies of the Scareclaw Arrival, which is basically Monster Reborn for Scareclaw monsters or Visa Starfrost. It also has a really nice graveyard effect where if your Scareclaw Link monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead, which is very reminiscent of Branded Opening and Salaman Graded Phalanx. Also, it's worth noting that this card is not once per turn, so feel free to pop off with as many copies as you want. Then we play 1 copy of the Scareclaw Twin Saw, which is an absolutely insane trap card that's reminiscent of both Icarus Attack and Sword Soul Blackout. Basically allows you to tribute 1 Scareclaw monster you control, pop 2 cards on your opponent's field. Also, if you control a Visa Starfrost, you can banish them instead of sending them to the graveyard, which doesn't really come up very often, but against Tearlaments, you're definitely going to want to have that Visa Starfrost if you're going to use this card's effect for that. But Also, this card gets even better because in the graveyard, if there's a Link 3 monster on the field, you can banish this card from the graveyard, and then neither player can activate Link monsters effects, which just gives you even more protection against your opponent. Honestly, when you resolve this card and you have the Scareclaw Tryhard on the field, there's very little your opponent can do to try and stop you. Absolutely busted card. And then the Scareclaw Splash is essentially an Omni Negate. It has another cute little effect that really doesn't come up very often. You just want to set this card up going first and then flip it as soon as you can on your opponent's turn and provide you an Omni Negate. It's really nice for playing through something like a Dark Ruler. It's a good way to negate that. Then we play one copy of Rhoda for our fourth copy of the Scareclaw Rykart, two copies of Pot of Desires because we do play quite a few multiples in this deck. Then for the hand traps and going second cards, we are playing two copies of Nibiru, which basically in the upcoming format, I'm predicting we're going to face a deck building challenge where we can either hand trap more for Tearlaments or hand trap more for Kashtira, and then obviously Flunder is going to be in the mix as well, so it's going to be really hard to cover all your bases with your flex spots, but I'm going to try and predict the best I can what I'm going to play. So two copies of Nibiru to beat Kashtira, triple copies of Imperm. It's just really solid against all three decks that I just mentioned. This card is really just absolutely an amazing going second card. Two copies of triple Tactics Talent. Also really solid going second. It's not as good going first sometimes. It is what it is. It can be good. It can just be a brick. And then triple copies of Book of Eclipse for the Kashtira matchup in particular. Basically, the only way to get those zones back once they've been locked out is to either remove their monsters from the field or flip them face down. And I didn't think that the drawback of this card was too bad because essentially, if you're using this card and you're not winning that turn, then you're losing anyways, right? And Scareclaw can just punch over all your opponent's monsters. So this card is another solid answer for the Kashtira deck, just because of the reasons I stated before. So that is it for the main deck, a slim 40 cards. Let's go ahead and get into the extra deck. For the extra deck, we do play triple copies of Scareclaw Lightheart. This card is very interesting. Basically, only takes a Scareclaw monster or a Visa Starfrost. And for this monster's Link Summon, you can only use monsters in the main monster zone as the material. So no using copies of itself in the extra monster zone to loop through all three. If this card is Link Summoned in the extra monster zone, you can add one Primitive Planet Rhycophobia from your deck to your hand. So allows you to search the field spell, which is really good. And then it also has a graveyard effect that has a once per duel clause on it, or if you control a Visa Starfrost, you can go ahead and revive this card back from the grave. So it allows you to sort of make up for the loss that you spent for getting the Visa Starfrost onto the field. So really, really solid card, honestly. Then we played two copies of the Scareclaw Tryhard, which is an absolutely insane card. Basically, all monsters on the field go to defense position once this guy hits the field. And then, if this card is in the extra monster zone, you can target one level 3 Scareclaw monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and then if you do, add one Scareclaw monster from your deck to your hand. So that's really good because it gets you a body onto the field to tribute for the Scareclaw Twinstall, and gets you follow up for your next turn. So this card is absolutely insane and works. It's basically the card that you want to buff up with your level 3 Earth Scareclaw monsters in the main deck. Then we play one copy of IP Masquerena, just in the off chance that we might want to be doing some Link summoning during our opponent's turn, but also allows us to make the Avermax that is very difficult to out. Basically, we are playing the IP and Avermax in here just because this deck can struggle to beat over like unaffected stuff, like maybe an Arrival Cyber's Agnister, for example. So we want to have some sort of out to that as well. Then we play two Charmers, one Dark and one Asa. All the Scareclaw monsters here, the level 3 ones are Earths, and also Kashtira Fenrir is an Earth monster, so this is a good target to revive off the Asa. And then there's plenty of good Dark targets in the meta right now to revive, and our Scareclaw Rykart is a Dark monster, so I feel like it's pretty apt to play these two Charmers. One Unicorn for removal, obviously the Avermax for reasons I stated previously. 1 Fortune Tune to help us make Zeus in corner cases, 1 Dweller and 1 Baguska to make off of our Parallel Exceed and completely shut our opponents down based on what they're playing. And then the 1 Bron de Fleur. This is not a card that you go in often on your first go around at your combo, just because it's better to go into your actual engine combo with the Scareclaw Tryhard. But if you open up the right hand, you can potentially go into this card as well as the Tryhard on your first turn. But where this card really shines is when you are going into a more grindier game. You want to be able to revive your Beast of Starfrost and then get a Scareclaw Reichart, make this card pop a card, and then you have very good control over the game there. So that is it for the extra deck. Let's breeze through the side deck real quick. And then for an idea of what a side deck for this deck might look like, we are playing an additional copy of Twin Saw, 2 copies of D-Barrier, 1 copy of Trap Trick. This is a 4-card package you can put in to blow out your opponent. Obviously, Trap Trick can just get you whatever trap card you're missing. Then we play triple copies of Evenly Matched as a blowout going second card. Obviously, Dark Will No More, same sort of logic there. 2 copies of Triple Tactics Tasking to search us whatever card we want if our opponent activates a card effect on our turn. Really insane. And then triple copies of DD Crow, just because I don't really feel like the Bestials quite fit in the deck. And also the Bestials are not slated to be very good against the Kashtira deck, because all the main deck Kashtira monsters are they're not dark, right? They're like Earth, Wind, and so it's like I'm not 100% sure that the Bestials are going to be great next format, but who knows, right? So with all that being said, that is it for the deck profile. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like and potentially even the subscribe button. But with that, I am going to leave you guys with a peace out, have a nice day, and goodbye.